Dareem, so you were
Yes.
sharing a lot of stuff with me about your water preservation and
Mhm.
the car wash. Can you just share a little bit about your background and experiences?
Yeah. So I grew up in deep South Trinidad, Moruga, to be exact. And I spent the first 17 years of my life there. I grew up, I came into this world with a mother who had my older brother at 14, and she had me when she was 15. And we grew up very poor. Our home was actually my grandmother's washroom at the back of her house. So mommy just put some plies to block up whatever, and that's where we lived for a good part of my early childhood. And we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor because grew up in a poor community, everybody poor, there's nothing to relate or compare it to. So I I I believe I was happy for the most part with what we had. And at the well, ever since I knew myself and my stepdad, well, I only knew my dad when I was 13. That's the first time I met him. And growing up with stepdads, they were very abusive, like very, very abusive. They would beat my mom and they would beat us. I remember there was this time my stepdad, he came home and he wasn't drunk or anything. He just came home very normal. And mommy was taking a shower and he took out a cutlass, a machete, and started to beat my mom with it. And I could remember to this day, all of us just running down the street with my mom naked. And we had to actually sleep in a patch of bush because that's how we escaped. And then, we go back to normal life the next day, and that was just life. And when I was 11, my mom broke off that relationship and she got with my other stepdad. And I think he took the abuse to another level. And that really, really, that was focused more on me, more so than my mom and my brother, and my other siblings, because I was extremely introverted. So when he started to come around in my mom's life, all my other siblings was just very cheerful. They called him uncle, and everybody was just happy. And I'm not one to be that social. So I don't know if he took it as a threat that I was shunning him or whatever. And as he and my mom established a relationship, he became very abusive to the point where my mom, when she goes to work, I couldn't leave my room because if I leave my room, he would beat me. And
Right.
many of these, I would be bloody. And I always wondered why my mom would allow somebody to abuse me like this. My aunts used to come over, and I remember there was this one time I came home and I knocked on the door and I said, I just knocked, and he said, "Who's there?" And I said, Dareem. He said, Dareem who? I said, Dareem Jeffrey. And he said, I know Dareem Jeffrey living in this house, and easily opened the latch for the door and kicked the door while I was behind it, and I fell in a pile of mud. And he just jumped on me and started to cuff me in my face. And my aunt
Mm-hmm.
had come over because she heard me screaming, and that was the normal thing for me. And I always asked myself why my mom allowed this to happen, but because I used to say to myself, she's maybe just trying to keep her household together. She doesn't want to break up a relationship. He's paying the bills and so forth. And that just continued for a while. And my mom always used to tell me every time she sees me, she sees the source of her stress. Mind you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm an A student. I graduated most outstanding out of secondary school and all of these things. So I couldn't understand for what reason my mom just did not like me. But
So let's
I,
just let's just fast forward a little bit into what you're doing today for the benefit of context for our audience. For the benefit of context, you're into the water preservation and car wash. Just share a little bit about that because I don't think we spoke about that yet.
yeah, so when it comes to water conservation, I'm apart from providing an ecological service, I tap into youths, person between the ages of 17 to 25, offering them not only gainful employment, but also the opportunity to own their own EcoWash branch, um, joining the fight of saving water, and also empowering them, giving them some type of avenue where they can continue to go to school while making significant amounts of money to remain independent and continue their schooling. So far, we've had 9 persons graduate with a bachelor's degree using
Mm.
the EcoWash company to gain cash
Sustain.
to continue their
Yeah.
schooling. So some persons only come to work one day for the week, or some person may come to work half day today and half day tomorrow.
Right.
Because most companies in Trinidad will never allow somebody to do something like that. It affects the workflow.
Right.
So because I've had to drop out of school because I did not have the financial
Right.
support from my parents, I made it my business that I don't want other persons to have to go through the same thing. And
Excellent.
so, so a lot
What
of
is your what is the business that you're in?
So I'm in the business of convenience. I run an ecological car wash solution that couples water conservation technology with convenience.
Excellent.
So we utilize only 2 liters of water to wash a vehicle, only using biodegradable and eco-friendly products. Our machines require no infrastructure or drainage to operate. And we've washed over 84,000 cars just at one of our locations in the last 2 years. And today we have 4 locations in Trinidad. And by the end of the year, we'll have 23 locations in 9 countries around the world.
What are some of those countries? Name them.
So Ghana, Togo, Benin, Sierra Leone, Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica. We've had interest as far as Indonesia, Dubai, South Africa, California. All these countries that have their own water woes and crises that they're going through have reached out to us to help them save water. So far in Trinidad, we've saved over 15 million liters of water. And our government has acknowledged that we are the only system that's in place to help them achieve SDG 6.
Excellent. How did you begin this, though? You spoke a little bit about the issue and the upbringing and those challenges that you went through in your early childhood with a young 14-year-old mother, right? And you all grew up together. So what prompted you to get into this?
Yeah, so growing up in Moruga, water would come only once every 2 weeks in the wee hours of the morning for a couple of hours. So water conservation for me I've been affected by the water crisis in Trinidad. So when I left home at the age of 17 and I attended university, I was astonished that the water in the pipes up in the north, in the suburban areas, never stopped flowing. So at the age of 17 was the first time I actually had a hot and cold shower because we couldn't enjoy those luxuries in South. So when I came up here,
it's just the way you're expressing it. I'm laughing.
Yeah. When I came up here, so I was totally fascinated by that. But then that fascination turned to frustration because I couldn't understand why such a fundamental human need. We struggled for that while other persons didn't bat an eye of the privileges that they had. So I began to do my investigation and I realized that Trinidad has a population of 1.3 million persons. We have over 1 million registered cars on the roads. So with over 300,000 registered license holders, that's an average of 3 cars per license holder. We are not a poor country. And the average car wash uses 180 liters to wash a car. So if each car in Trinidad is washed just once a month, and I run a car wash, so I know cars are washing sometimes 2 times a week. But if it's washed just once a month, for the year, that's hundreds of liters, hundreds of millions of liters of water being wasted. And I'm not going to be naive to think that if I save water in the suburbs, it's going to magically pop up in the south. But as I always tell persons, it's a level of respect when you show that understanding of other persons' struggle. Us eating our leftovers in Trinidad is not going to put food in the bellies of persons in impoverished countries.
Right.
But it shows a sense of respect that says, hey, I see your struggle and honor. Yeah. So that's why I got into that. But I started the business because during COVID-19, I was unemployed for 8 months and my rent was backing up. My car was due to be repossessed. I couldn't feed myself, so I needed to start a business. And I always wanted to start Eco Wash, but this was like the extra push. This is all I could have done because I always wanted to bring convenience. When I left home at 17, I left home at $28 in my pocket. So every time I give a speech, I've given speeches even in Tunisia, Indonesia about this. I always type $28 on a dream. And entrepreneurship is what saved me at that point, because I became what we know as a caddy boy. I would go to the shops and people will give me the change for running to the groceries and stuff for them. So entrepreneurship has always saved me. So when this happened during COVID-19, I said, I needed to start a business. But when I was reading for my bachelor's at 17, one of the courses I had to do in my bachelor's maritime operation nautical science was entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Going through the struggles of life to feed myself and doing this course, at the end of the course, I say, here's what. I need to be an entrepreneur, and I dropped out of school because I couldn't work and go to school. And I remember the first time I saw Shark Tank was actually in that course I was doing. And I understood that, when you're starting a business, you have to have that value proposition. How are you different from the other car washers? So I said, how could I meet the customer where they are at? How I could open a car wash at the malls, but that's a lot of infrastructure that I have to build out. How could I cut down on the water, save water, bring that convenience to customers? So I created a polymer solution that allows me to only use 2 liters of water to wash a car. So that's how I got into entrepreneurship. Just the struggles of trying to survive, but also trying to create a business that's unique and brings a level of convenience to customers.
So in my research on success strategies of Caribbean American leaders, I found that a lot of leaders had to go through some challenges and struggles. And sometimes I believe that the challenges and struggles propel you forward to achieving what we as individuals need to achieve at a higher level. So I'm thinking about your struggles that you went through and the fact that COVID came and you lost your job and you were without a job for a while. And you said, no, I can't stick in this. I need to do something else about it. And that's what I think, that's what you said propelled you to start the business and
And
get
then
into entrepreneurship.
there was no plan B. There was no home to go back home to. Is that I would sink or swim. And
yes, the point, sink or swim.
yeah, I just had to do something. And then when I started during COVID, my mom, who didn't speak to me for 8 years, she called and she said, "Hey, COVID is happening. I know your business has to close for a while because the malls, everything was shut down. So the malls had to close." And she said, "Come home so you could save rent and whatever, whatever." And I was shocked because, mommy is calling, even though all this bad treatment, just so very happy to hear your mother's voice.
Yes, of
And
course.
I went back home thinking, we're going to save money on rent and all these different things. And when I went back home the next day, she came to me and she said, "You're going to have to pay $1,600 in rent every month. You're going to have to pay the light bills and so forth." And I said,
So she tricked you basically.
yeah. And not only did I pay the rent, pay the bills, give everybody an allowance because I was running a business that had some savings. And a couple of weeks after, she turned off the electricity and the water on me. So I legit had to go by my aunt to bathe every day and so forth. And it became so bad that I bought a one-way ticket to Tobago. I would go to Tobago, but you go for a little vacation in the sister island, come back.
Right.
And I bought a one-way ticket because I was so depressed. My skin, I have seborrheic dermatitis. So when I'm stressed, it shows on my skin and my skin turned white. I was actually showing one of my friends a video of my skin the other day. And I bought a one-way ticket to go to Tobago. And I called my best friend while I was sitting in the pool at the guest house by myself. And I told her, I said, "That's it for me. I really don't want to live this life anymore." And she said, "I love you. Go ahead and do it. I understand. I hold no animosity against you." And she told me, "Yeah, you can go ahead and call it quits and kill yourself." And I was so happy because honestly, Doc, I wasn't sad. I wasn't depressed that to the point of crying. I couldn't recognize myself. I'm looking in the mirror. I know myself to be this bright, optimistic person who love everybody and want to help everybody. And I couldn't I didn't know what day of the week it was. My skin is white. Half of my head was bald because my hair was falling out.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew what I was going through. And she
Mm-hmm.
said, go ahead, I won't stop you. Go ahead. I love you. And she said, if there is another life to come, I hope I meet you again. And then she said, but before you go ahead and do it, promise me one thing. I said, what's that? She said, promise me you wait until tomorrow. And I
Mm.
said, "Okay." And tomorrow came and she called me. She said, how you feeling? I said, I'm just here. And she said, I'm going to work. You may not get me if you try to call me, but promise me one thing. I was like, what's that? Wait until tomorrow. And for
Right.
2 months straight, my friend called me, and that's all she used to say to me. And you would think, after 2 weeks, you would get annoyed by that. I needed to hear that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm waiting until tomorrow. That's how I live my life when I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what depression feels like, and that's why I'm very careful to how I treat people and how I treat my workers. I think I'm very patient with my workers because you never know when somebody is on the last thread, and then you're
Right.
talking to
Yes.
them,
Yes. Yes.
and you're
Yes.
17, and you have 17 and 18-year-olds, and when you talk to them, you realize that they're the breadwinners in their family. If they didn't have a job at Eco Wash, persons will go hungry, and to have that level of responsibility at that age and so forth. So it's been hard for me to have to mentor youths when I myself need mentoring. I feel as though
Yes.
my
Yes.
friends have taught me how to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still trying to navigate that space. And
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Janelle, when people may think, you're sad because your business is losing money. When I left Tobago and I came back to Trinidad, I called a real estate agent and I bought a house immediately. In 1 week's
Mm-hmm.
time, I was turning my own keys. So it's not as though your
Mm-hmm.
business was losing money and all these different
Right.
things.
Right. Right.
But we think that you commit suicide because your business is losing money or something's going wrong, not knowing that
Mm-hmm.
the trauma that you've gone through and the things
Right.
you've gone
Right.
through with
Right.
your parents could really
Right.
supersede all these
Right.
other good things that
Right.
people will think are good things
Right. Right.
and
Right.
totally messed me up. And to this day, my mom doesn't speak to me. The last thing she told me when I left was, you're an unsuccessful abortion. And she's never
Mm-hmm.
spoken to me since. And I think I'm at peace now. I I've been encouraged. My therapist actually told me I should not have children. Because when we were talking about it, I told her, I said, I can't wait to have kids because I could love them unconditionally and they cannot leave. And she said,
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking to have children because they wouldn't, you think they wouldn't leave you, then I don't recommend you have children in this life.
Mm-hmm. So,
But
so your what stands out for me is what your mother said that you're an unsuccessful abortion. And it seems like you've also used that as a driver to help others. And why I'm chatting with you is because you're one of the top 30 under 30 honorees that we recognize at the Institute of Caribbean Studies Ignite Caribbean Initiative in Washington, D.C. at the IDB in June 2024. And that's the reason it's so important to highlight stories like yours that really blows our minds. And I'm glad you shared about the unsuccessful attempt, and it will be something for others to follow suit, to call, to wait until tomorrow, as your friend had said. Try again tomorrow, as maybe it's a little bit more popular. But your friend said to you, wait until tomorrow, and you adopted that. So whenever you're going through stuff, I think I'm trying to so consolidate what you spoke about just now, but it is really mind-blowing. You want to just share with us, as you've shared your challenges, can you share some of the successes that you've had? You mentioned to me about some awards that you've been given or you will be given. You want to share a few of them, not many. I know you've had a lot.
yeah, so the first award I've won in a competition was the United Nations Development Program Green Innovation Competition. I actually won that while I was in Tobago. I remember I was pitching and up to this day, I can't remember what I told these people. I just know I won it. Yeah, so I won that UNDP Green Innovation. Then I won Shell the gas company, Shell Livewire.
Yeah.
I won Netco Green Entrepreneur of the Year. I've won USAID Top Water Innovation in the Caribbean, Junior Chambers Top Innovation in the Americas. And after winning that, I had to go to World Congress to represent the Americas against Africa, Asia, and the Asian Pacific. And we won Top Innovation in the world. Won the Greenleaf Award from the EMA, the Environmental Management Authority, for climate action and education. And now I'm a finalist for Global Entrepreneur of the Year. So those are a couple that I've won. So far, I've done 13 international competitions,
Nice.
and I've come first in all thus far.
So those challenges, I think, has pushed you to be a driver for success, and not only a driver for success, but to bring other youths who are going through stuff with you along the journey, so that they too can propel to higher heights. And I've tried to put it in a nutshell based on chatting with you. Dareem, it has really been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure talking with you. I'm intrigued by what you're doing and the successes, and not only success, because sometimes we look at success, as I told you, I researched it, and not only that, but also to take others along with you and to be a mentor to them so they too can achieve success. And as I always say, however they define it. Thank you very much. And where can they find if they want to learn more about you?
So I'm on social media, EcoWashTT on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Dareem Jeffrey on Instagram and Facebook, and also on LinkedIn. I'm very responsive on all the different social
Right.
media.
Excellent. Excellent. And I'm there on LinkedIn as well, or at ccahr.com. Thank you
Yes.
so much. It has really been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.